Section under 332, talk about suspension of arms transfers to Saudi Arabia. And so you could say these are targeted sanctions to say that these type of materials will not be sold to the nation of Saudi Arabia. Which in section 331 comes from S398, the Saudi Arabia Accountability in Yemen Act of 2019, which was introduced by Senator Menendez of New Jersey. And what it does is it's a 5-year suspension of arms transfers to Saudi Arabia. It's not a permanent ban. And like we talked about with Cuba that we've had for decades and decades, this ban can also be lifted after a 180-day ceasefire, as long as Saudi Arabia is also demonstrating through sincere words and actions they are working towards a peaceful resolution, and that they also lift the blockade that they have around Yemen. Let me talk a little more about what the specifics are, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the situation with Yemen. And so on the effective date of this section, should be October 30th of this year, any license for these military weapons would become to any permission granted to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, that permission would be revoked. No more licenses would be issued. There would be an exemption for ground-based missile defenses. In a few weeks, we're going to talk more about the value-added tax that's included in the Blueprint for a Better America, which exempts all exports of arms sales would be subject to the value-added tax. Not really relevant to this, but according to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, which is one of the premier think tanks for tracking arms sales, Saudi Arabia was the world's largest arms importer from 2015 to 2019. They buy an awful lot of weapons, and 73% of it came from the United States. Donald Trump was proud of these things because they create jobs, right? That's the claim. And obviously there's some truth. It's a non-zero amount of jobs. A 2018 report by the Center for International Policy, they looked into this and found that there could be as many as 40,000 jobs that were supported worldwide by all these arms sales to Saudi Arabia. So again, it's a non-zero amount, but in a labor force of 160 million people in this country, it's a few hundredths of 1%. The reason that they're fighting, the Saudi coalition is fighting in Yemen, is over a civil war where Houthis control most of the country. Including the capital, they have support from Iran, and Saudi Arabia is allied against them, has conducted has destroyed their economy, has blockaded their port cities, so to make it near impossible for food and other things to get into the country. They have destroyed the Yemenis economy. It's a country of about 30 million people, and when buildings are destroyed, jobs are destroyed, there's no money circulating, and if there was, there isn't anything to buy. It's caused a huge humanitarian crisis, one of the greatest humanitarian crises on the planet. Years ago, there was a big cholera epidemic swept through the country. The bombs, though, that we're dealing with today, the bombs that are being dropped on the country are 73% of them are American made. In August of 2018, they dropped a laser guided bomb onto a school bus. There's a school bus with about 40 preteen boys, and that bomb was built by Lockheed Martin right here in America. And the following month, Mike Pompeo, a state at the time, he certified that Saudi Arabia was making good faith efforts to avoid civilian deaths from airstrikes. And when you're blowing up school buses full of children, I'm not persuaded that that's true. And so by ending these arms sales, may cost some non-zero amount of jobs. The war machine is humming along at a pretty good clip. So it seems like even if these arms sales stop, there's still going to be, these people aren't going to all lose jobs. But even if they did, that's why this legislative package includes universal basic income, to ensure that no American family can fall into poverty. And so if we're going to put these people out of work so they don't have to make the bombs that blow up children, there'll still be a safety floor underneath them. As we're in the news, we're seeing video of Ukrainians hunkering in bomb shelters, and that's it's got to be a frightening, traumatic experience for families. But the people in Yemen have it worse because they're having to watch their children starve. Since the war has begun, we're in our seventh year now. The UN estimates about 250,000 civilians have died, mostly children, like thousands, tens of thousands of children starving. And, as a parent, my kids have plenty to eat, sometimes too much. There's always snacks and things like that. And like, what would it be like to just not have enough to feed your kids, not just for one day, but for weeks and weeks, and just watch them shrivel away? The New York Times ran a series of photographs of these emancipated, malnourished children in Yemen. And I was going to show some, but I decided against it. This is a humanitarian crisis. And in October 2018, I joined the hunger strike for Yemen to try and call attention to this crisis. And after 18 days, I wasn't feeling well enough to continue. But for so many people in this country, they don't necessarily have the choice to just start eating again. There's just nothing available. And there's been an annual fast for Yemen in April. And like, the fact that this has to be an annual thing, that we have to draw attention to the fact that there's so much suffering going on there, it's the point of the Blueprint for a Better America is to end poverty, end mass incarceration, and end the endless wars. And this war in Yemen has been going on for far too long. Ending the endless wars includes this one. We should stop selling arms to Saudi Arabia and enabling their war in Yemen. Yemen can't wait. It's been true for years, and it's just as true today. There, I think that concludes my testimony for section 332. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes. How much of a difference do you think this will make in this specific targeted sanction in terms of the actions Saudi Arabia is taking against Yemen?
We sell 73% of their bombs to them. In addition, as we'll talk about in the next section 333, we also provide logistical support for their war. And so when we stop doing that, it will force them to dramatically de-escalate and hopefully bring them to the bargaining table at a peaceful resolution.
Thank you. Has Congress done this sanction before? Did Trump veto it? What happened with that?
Yes, thank you for the question. Congress has passed on several occasions. Bernie Sanders had, I think it was Senate Resolution 7 that would have blocked these arms sales to Saudi Arabia. And it passed easily in the House and the Senate, only to be vetoed by President Trump. This is an issue that Congress is aware of, but we haven't been able to get actual legislation signed into law. And so by including it as part of this larger package, we can actually take the actions needed to help rebuild our moral standing in the world.